Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we aren't looking at broad market trends. We're going hyper local, hyper specific, and frankly, hyper regulated.
We are. We're diving into the rulebook for a sectional title complex in South Africa, the Dunes Kingsburgh. Specifically, their conduct rules updated in, late 2025.
And it might sound dry, but this is a shortcut, really, to understanding how these communities actually function day to day.
Exactly. Our mission here is to use this one document to see the modern balance, or the tension between shared enjoyment and individual liability.
And right from page one, there's a single legal principle that underpins everything else.
That's right. The absolute core takeaway is this. The unit owner holds the ultimate responsibility. And I mean ultimate.
For everyone.
For everyone. Tenants, family contractors, guests. If any of them drips oil on the driveway or cracks a tile in the hallway, the owner of that section is on the hook financially for the repairs. It's absolute.
That is an incredibly high bar. It makes you think twice about who you even invite over. It's a financial risk assessment.
It is. And that's the point. It's a deterrent. It allows the body corporate, think of it like a very powerful homeowners association, to enforce these rules and get immediate payment for damages.
So let's unpack the main tool they use to manage all that risk, which seems to be this constant need for written consent.
Written consent is the gatekeeper for almost anything. If
Yeah.
you want to, say, install an air conditioner or even just enclose a balcony, you have to apply in writing
You have to provide all the specs and everything, I assume.
everything they need to make a decision. But, and this is crucial for fairness, if they say no, they have to tell you why in writing.
Okay, so what happens if you disagree with their reason?
Then you have a formal channel. You have to submit a written complaint to the trustees or the managing agent, and they even specify the email address, theduneskingsburg@gmail.com. That email creates the official paper trail for any dispute.
Before we go further, we should probably clarify the jargon, the difference between a section, common property, and an exclusive use area.
Right. It's simple, really. Your section is the inside of your apartment. Common property is everything else everyone shares, the driveways, the pool, the gardens.
And an exclusive use area.
And that's like your designated balcony or patio. It's technically common property, but you have the sole right to use it.
Got it. So spilling something on your own balcony is your problem, but drilling through the wall into the hallway?
Now you're talking about a structural alteration, and that's where the liability really kicks in and where you absolutely need that consent.
So what counts as a structural alteration?
The rules are very specific. Drilling into concrete slabs is a big one, altering any pipes, wires, or ducts that serve the whole building, even taking down a wall that isn't load-bearing.
They're trying to prevent hidden damage, right? The kind of thing you don't discover until there's a massive leak a year later.
Exactly. And my favorite example is enclosing a balcony. You can't just do it. It changes the whole look of the building and, the structural load. It's a prime example of the collective controlling the individual for the good of the whole scheme.
Okay, let's shift from the concrete, literally, to the behavioral, the rules that govern daily life. And let's start with animals, because this is something else.
It's one of the most contested areas in these communities,
Yeah.
and the Dunes has a very, very firm stance.
Which is?
You are allowed one small dog
And how do they define small?
by weight. Its full-grown weight cannot be more than 10 kilograms.
10 kilograms, that's tiny. So they're doing weigh-ins at the gate. How is that even policed?
It's mostly reactive. If there's a complaint or a nuisance, the burden of proof is on you, the owner, to show your dog is under the limit. It's really about deterrence. They're trying to avoid larger breeds altogether.
And the dog has to be spayed or neutered with a rabies certificate.
Of course. And as for other pets, cage birds are okay, but nothing bigger than a budgie.
And cats.
No cats. A hard no. Unless you had one before the 2019 rule change, and even then, it has to be neutered.
Wow. But they do make an exception for assistance animals, which is important.
Yes, they have to. Modern disability law is clear on that. Guide dogs, hearing dogs, service dogs' consent is automatically granted. For an emotional support animal, you need a letter from a mental health professional, but the presumption is they'll approve it.
And then there's the very South African rule about local wildlife.
Yep. Do not feed the monkeys, and don't leave food out that attracts them. It's a perfect example of how these rules are tailored to the specific local environment.
Right. So moving from animals to aesthetics, the trustees have the power to decide if something is aesthetically displeasing. That's a huge amount of subjective power.
It is, but they try to ground it in specifics. For example, air conditioning units. You need consent, and the motor can't be on an outside wall. It has to be hidden on your balcony or within your section.
They want a uniform exterior. I even saw a rule about safety netting.
That's a fantastic detail, isn't it? If you want to put up that brown crisscross netting on your balcony, maybe to keep a toddler or a small dog safe, you still need written permission for this specific design.
So safety is fine, but only if it's the right kind of safety.
The approved, aesthetically pleasing kind of safety. Exactly.
That level of control extends to vehicles, too. Let's get into the logistics, because this is where the immediate financial penalties really start to bite.
The first rule is the speed limit. 10 kilometers per hour.
10. That is a crawl.
It's basically a walking pace. But the bigger financial risk is this. If your car, or your guest's car, leaks oil on the pavement, the repair cost is charged directly to your levy account. No arguments.
So you're responsible for the roadworthiness of your guests' cars.
You are. And that brings it to parking. Visitor parking is short-term only, max 2 cars per unit, and no trailers.
And the enforcement.
It's heavy. Illegally parked car, they can clamp it, and it's a 1,000 Rand release fee.
1,000 Rand just to get the clamp off.
Just to get the clamp off. That's
Yeah.
before any other fine is even processed. It's a huge incentive to make sure your guests follow the rules.
So that brings us to garages and storerooms. They're not for living in or running a business out of.
Strictly for parking and storage. And there's a limit on flammable liquids, only 5 liters.
But the most interesting part is how they handle electricity in the garages.
Yes, because they assume the power comes from the body corporate's common supply. So they've created a fee schedule for appliances.
It's amazing. A fridge costs you 70 Rand a month, a freezer is 80, a combo fridge freezer is 100, and a clothes dryer.
200 Rand a month.
Yeah.
Added right onto your levy.
Yeah.
You're supposed to declare them. It's the honor system, backed up by the threat of a fine if you're caught.
But the biggest rule, the one that really looks to the future, or maybe ignores it, is about electric vehicles.
This is a huge one.
Yeah.
The rules state, and I'm quoting, the charging of electric vehicles, EVs, in a garage or on common property is strictly prohibited.
A total ban.
Right.
For rules written in late 2025, that seems incredibly short-sighted. Why not just charge a much higher fee for it?
It suggests they looked at the potential strain on their electrical grid, maybe the fire risk, and just decided the hassle wasn't worth it. It's a case of a community choosing stability and low risk over adopting new technology.
Which could seriously devalue the property down the line. Moving on to people, though. They're very anti-Airbnb.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
The minimum lease period is 6 months. No short-term lets. They also cap occupancy, 4 people in a 2-bedroom, 6 in a 3-bedroom. They're trying to keep it a quiet, residential community.
Okay, let's talk about the communal rituals and the final enforcement hammer, the
Yeah.
fines. Starting with just taking out the trash.
Even that is tightly regulated. Household waste has to be securely wrapped, even washed. They're clearly fighting a battle with seagulls or those monkeys we mentioned.
And if you have something big to throw out, like an old appliance,
You can't use the communal bins. You have to arrange for its removal yourself at your own cost. And they use surveillance to enforce it.
how does that work?
There's CCTV on the bin area. If they find, say, a pile of building rubble, they review the footage to see which owner gets the fine.
Right, and general nuisance. Noise curfew is 10 p.m. No fireworks.
And braise, or barbecues. Gas braise are okay on your balcony if they don't bother the neighbors. Charcoals is only allowed in the designated common areas.
What if I want to have a big party at one of those common areas?
If you have more than 15 people, you have to book it 7 days in advance. And you have to pay a 500 Rand deposit.
Is that deposit refundable?
Not all of it.
Hmm.
And this is a fascinating detail. The body corporate keeps 200 Rand of that deposit for future maintenance of the Bray area.
So you're paying a user fee, essentially.
You are. And if you don't clean up afterwards, they'll hire someone to do it and bill the cost to your levy account. So you lose the 200, pay for cleaning, and you could still get fined.
Wow. But the most comprehensive rule has to be the one for traditional ceremonies involving animal slaughter. The level of detail here is astounding.
It is. And it shows how a community tries to manage deeply sensitive cultural needs while mitigating every conceivable risk. There are 6 strict conditions.
Things like notifying your neighbors and confirming the carcass will be removed immediately.
Yes. And you have to provide the qualifications of the person doing the slaughtering. But the biggest hurdle is the certifications. You need 3 of them.
3.
1 from the local authority for bylaws, 1 from the health department for sanitation, and a certificate confirming that an SPCA official will be present to ensure the animal doesn't suffer.
So the body corporate is outsourcing its risk management to the city The health department and the SPCA.
Yeah.
That is the definition of liability transfer.
It's deep risk mitigation. It allows the practice, but under the most stringent controls imaginable.
So finally, what happens when you just break a simple rule? The fine schedule.
It's a clear, escalating process. First, you get a written warning by email. You have 7 days to fix the problem.
And if you don't?
A 1,000 Rand first fine is imposed. If you still haven't fixed it after another 7 days, a 2,000 Rand thereafter fine is imposed. And that 2,000 Rand fine hits you every 7 days until it's resolved.
That could get very expensive very quickly.
It could, but there is a cap. The law says the fines can't exceed the unit's monthly levy. But there's a catch for appealing.
What's that?
You have to pay the fine first, before your appeal will even be considered.
So you pay the 1,000 Rand, and then you can argue about whether you deserve the fine. That's a powerful tool.
It ensures immediate compliance and cuts down on frivolous disputes. It's all about administrative efficiency for the body corporate.
So if we tie this all together for you, the listener, what does this all really show us about this kind of living?
It shows that it's a trade-off, a huge one. You get security, shared amenities, convenience, but in return, you surrender a massive amount of personal autonomy. And the owner's legal responsibility for their guests and tenants is, as we said, virtually absolute.
The owner is the ultimate financial backstop. You might not have been the one who broke the rule, but if it's your unit, the fine lands on your account.
It's collective living, but with fiercely individual accountability.
Indeed. So a final thought to leave you with. Considering this blanket ban on charging electric vehicles, a decision made in late 2025, how quickly will rules like this become obsolete? And what's the real long-term cost of hyper-regulated convenience when it locks you out of the next wave of technology? Something to think about until our next deep dive.